Hello, and welcome to another episode of Contemplations, the podcast. I am your host, Kinah, and I'm so glad that you're here. Have I thanked you for being with me on this exercise in thought? Thank you. I'm really grateful. I cannot emphasize enough how much I value thinking and how I think that thinking about things a little more deeply can help us not only as individuals but as a society and a community. And I'm really grateful that the thoughts that I have to share and the thoughts of my friends are valuable enough for you to listen, not only to listen but to actively engage in. I'm deeply grateful, and I really hope that you are getting a bang for your buck, even though you're not paying. But today we're continuing the conversation with Glory from last week about boundaries, and we really get into some good stuff today. And I'm not gonna be too long-winded here. I'm just gonna let us jump right into it. So yeah, I hope you have a great time listening, and thank you again. I truly am grateful that you are here. Enjoy.
Because misreading people's boundaries can seem disrespectful.
I always think just ask.
But not everyone. Again, so remember how at the beginning of this conversation you were like, you can just ask anything. And I'm like, my restraint to even ask.
Yes.
So there's that.
Fair. I think just ask based on the quality of your relationship, of course.
Yeah, I get that. But so this is what I'm trying to say. If I feel like if it's causing me anxiety to even ask that question, there are people have comfort levels with trying to brace like a new territory and stuff. Do you see what I mean? Because this happens with me too. When someone's like, oh my gosh, like I just really want to ask you something, and then they paraphrase everything, and when they finally ask me, I'm like, oh, like you could have just asked, like that's fine. And they're like, oh, and you see how much they'd worked up to that, and you're like, it's not that big a deal, but to them it is. Like they're experiencing all the physical stress of posing a question. So it is very tough, and it's not something I think I can even say I require of everyone, because when you think in terms of the energetic cost for some people to even brave it and say, I'm going to try and get more access into this person's life, or I don't know, for whatever reason, and I don't know how they'll take it, but so it's a risk. It is but and not everyone is prepared or willing or ready to take that risk. And like I know in my experience I've been like, oh, it's easy, like why don't we just ask? But not like in reflection, when I contemplate it, I'm like, for some people it is really hard. Like they're sitting, because as an overthinker, I know for sure
it is a real risk.
Yeah.
But I tend to think about it as it's a risk and it's not always worth taking, which is fair. So I do appreciate the thoughtfulness. Like it's not always a worthy thing to try. Sometimes it's not worth it. I think it's one of those things where if it's worth it to you for whatever reason, I think that's when it becomes like when the switch flips.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's about conviction in the sense that you need this thing. So that's
at least that's the way I think about it.
No, that's fair. Because for me, even with the example I gave earlier about the thing I needed from my supervisor, it was a need. I needed to do it. Exactly. So I physically had to overcome a great level of discomfort, because the thing that I needed was more important than my discomfort or my concern that boundaries were being crossed. I just knew that I owed it to myself to at least ask.
Yes.
And for some things, I think it's not even important enough. And for me, I reassess and reevaluate as it goes. Like, has this become something very important for me that if I do not ask, will it significantly impact the quality of my life or the quality of my relationship with this person? Because I don't feel like everything really, like every boundary really needs to be probed.
Yeah. It's also always interesting to think about the fact that, or at least for me and you as people who actually overthink, is just being like, because before we attempt to cross a boundary, we have thought about it 10,000 ways. Maybe it is not even a boundary. Because that's always the thing too. It's like, maybe it's not a boundary at all. So add that valence to your thinking process. And then if you have like reasonable reasons to think it might actually not be a boundary at all, then that's more in the plus column for trying, for giving it a shot.
Yeah.
For reducing the weight of the risk.
So the thing is, I'm trying to picture this as like, I don't want to say we're in the minority or majority. I don't have statistics on this. But I know that there are a lot of people who don't think in this way. They don't overthink things. They're just like Nike, just do it. It must be
a pleasure.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, how great for you. Mm-hmm. But in terms of interacting with people like that, because I've seen this play out with the way people, like, if you have a friend or someone who cares about you, they don't overthink, you overthink. I think it affects the relationship between you and that person because they see how much thought you put into something that's not a big deal to them. And they care about you, so I feel like there's the potential for it to then become a big deal to them. In terms of like, if it really took you this much stress to ask me for my pencil, for example, like you were thinking about, maybe it was my precious.
So now I definitely have to give you my pencil.
Or that could be it. Or if I want to ask you something, if you put so much thought into this, you want me to put that much thought into this, which is usually not the case. But I feel like there's the possibility that that can happen.
But I think that's a useful thing.
But is it fair to someone who, like,
I don't think
for a pencil, like, they could just ask? It's like, it's not their fault that I overthink everything.
No, I don't think it's a fairness question. I think it's a relationship question in terms of the fact that if you're in friends with someone who is very I think that's the ways we rub off on each other and we mirror each other inevitably. That's just the way human interaction works. I think that's a normal thing. I don't see it as bad or good. I just see it as thing.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll ponder on that.
Yeah, because there's a way where, like, if you're friends with someone who happens to be very thoughtful in that way, and then for you, you're just a go for it person. Yeah. But for you just stop for a second and think about it. It could be useful.
It reminds me of when we were talking about that Enneagram thing in Flourish, where they have what they call them, the wings. Yeah. But it kind of alludes to the psychological predisposition of people to rub off on each other.
Yes.
In terms of, like, if you're interacting with someone and you really love or care about the person,
you adopt their traits.
Yeah, so like for me, if I'm around someone who's very carefree, it'll make me a little more carefree and it'll make them a little more considerate.
Exactly.
And hopefully the world will be all the better for it.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Or at least your relationship will be better for it. Even if that's
or the way you interact with other people.
Yes.
Right? Because then I would freak out less when I'm asking simple things. They would probably think more before they ask certain things. Yeah. And that's helpful for both us in that interaction and the people we individually interact with separately.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, I like that. That's an interesting way to think about that. Thank you. Okay, so I think we already touched on the range thing, but I'm going to do the last bit of... Can you talk about, like, since boundaries for you are a range, how do you navigate people approaching, like, obviously it's like a blurry thing, but like, how do you sense when someone's getting to the tip of a boundary versus like, nah, you're here already. Okay, let's do something. How do you do that?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is not a problem I have. I think this is also because people think I have a lot of boundaries. It saves
so
me
they never
of
ever.
Yeah. Really
That's not RBF, but we don't cuss on here.
Those, like,
if you say one, I'm so grateful that you haven't sworn.
I don't.
Because
I do.
Did you want to say you don't swear?
I was going to say I don't, but then I'm like, I actually do.
This lady swears at Bible study. No. But it's good. Thank you for not swearing, because if you swear, I have to change the upload.
Also, I have an issue with why swear words and swear words. They're just words that are exclamations.
That's true. But I'm just saying, logistically.
Letting that go.
I used to swear less before I met her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, it's true. Remember when you first met me? 2020 was tough. Yeah. 2019 is the year that made me start like, oof.
Just letting go.
Exactly. I was like,
good too. It feels good.
I was like, I'm gonna throw a little bit.
I'm gonna be honest about how I actually feel at this moment. Yeah, it helps. It saves
like the other day I was praying and I'm like, Jesus, I really feel like this is the word that describes what I'm feeling, and then I inserted an expletive there. I'm like, this is it. This is how I'm feeling. Sorry.
I think being honest is perfect.
No, I appreciate that. That's why I've never, sorry, this is another segue, but that's why I've never been someone who has a problem with people swearing around me. It's not something that bothers me. As long as they're not swearing at me. Yeah. That I do not like.
That is not.
I don't like people swearing at me, but like if people are expressing themselves and they just happen to use swear words, it doesn't bother me. Like some people are bothered.
I find it funny. The only scenarios where I have to not is when around my friends' kids. Because the problem is then the kids see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then it's very cute. I find it hilarious. But their parents don't. Anyway, so in terms of like when people are getting into the
extremes,
the boundary place,
the boundaries of your boundaries.
I think for me, in my friendship spaces, like the people with whom I'm friends, and I do use that word carefully. So with the people I'm friends with, I actually am exceedingly comfortable having what could be difficult conversations. Right? So I've had an experience with a friend of mine where I've had to say, like, having to ask you this question is making me uncomfortable. But I have to ask you because I'm going to get upset if you don't fix up, essentially. And I'm able to be vulnerable like that, where I'm literally saying, like, this brings me discomfort right now. This text message brings me discomfort. Right. But I'm sending it to you so you kind of know where I'm at. Yeah. And know that you're at the edge. Yeah. Yeah. Because I value this connection. Right. I value this relationship. Yeah. I am not cut you off person. I don't be like, my friends are few and close. Right. And so like they're important, and so the conversation is worth the discomfort. Yes, and I honestly do tend to also think of the big picture of like, I do want this person to be in my life for a very long time. You know, except they do something like wildly crazy, of which I don't have friends who do wildly crazy things. I surround myself with pretty dope people. I don't do wildly crazy. Do not. So it's not really, it's an issue where I think I place the value of my relationship over my discomfort. Right. And for me, that includes acknowledging my discomfort. Because I feel like I've experienced that to be very freeing. Once I start the conversation with, this is actually making me feel uncomfortable to say this. And you've done that with me too. Yeah. And that's like an immediate thing where once you say that, it's like, I know the weight of it. I know. And that's the same thing with like when I had to have that type of conversation. It's like, we both know that this is tight space, but we're both happy to be here because we value this relationship. Yeah. So that's it. That's the way I've approached it.
Thank you. That's good. Yeah. I was thinking while you were talking about, this just occurred to me. I think it's so interesting how people's life experiences and where our environment really shapes us. And I don't know if this is true. This might be just me completely... I was going to swear, but it's completely just yanning dust the way we say it. Yes. But I wonder if that has anything to do with you being an only child and me having a sibling. And the reason I bring that up is because with my sibling, it's not hard to express my discomfort. Like, I don't think about it because it's like, this is my family. Like, we're here. Like, there's nothing. So in my head, there's nothing I can do about our being tied together for life. But with people who are not related to me, I feel like the stakes are higher because they can leave. They can be like, I'm not doing this anymore, which is not really realistic because like my brother can decide he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. But for me, I'm just like, I mean, I know my brother and like, I don't think he'll do that. Hopefully, please don't leave me. But so whenever like he upsets me or something, I'm just like, hey, like, to fix this relationship. Like why'd you do that? You're going to be here for a long time. Like I don't like that. And so I assume, I don't know if you have that feeling in your mind with people for whom it's very easy for you, because also my mom does something I don't like. I don't think too long to say I didn't like that. And then there are other people, like when I had that conversation, remember I was like, this is hard because I was like you don't have to hear like you can just be like, please, I'm done, like leave me alone, you know. But I just don't expect that from people who are literally stuck with, like, my mom birthed me. What are you gonna do with me?
Okay, so it's funny that it's actually similar thought processes, different outcomes. So for me, the thought process is, I also, being an only child, I had a lot of practice having conversations that can be hard. Because I talk to my parents, they were like my friends. Like, I know African people, your parents are not your friends. I hear you in my head right now. But my parents were my friends. When you're an only child,
people who have small families.
Exactly.
Who else is going to be your friend?
My parents were kind of my friends. And because we're 3 in the house, I was one of those people who saw my parents have conflict and resolve conflict. So I grew up seeing difficult conversations happen and get resolved. I grew up being invited into difficult conversations. Like, my father would ask you, okay, so you did this thing that makes no sense. Explain yourself. And then I'll have to be like, okay, so what had happened was, and also, I was also raised by a dad who encouraged the skill of argument. My dad would take the most extraneous, non-reasonable position and invite you to argue against it. And then would get and of course he was still my dad, so there was always the navigating power and agency and things like that.
But not disrespect yourself.
That's the thing, is so having all of those things has been a part of my life, growing up. And also with friendships, you were saying about how people can leave. For me, that's even more reason
to tell them.
Yes. So for me, it's I fear. I don't know whether fear is the word, but I don't like that slow fizzle out.
Oh, yeah.
I would rather you just left. You know what I mean? So in a way, being an only child has made me, I feel deeply value friendships, because I wouldn't have friends. My parents would be my only friends, really.
Right.
So I didn't grow up with inbuilt friendships. That's what I saw having siblings. I thought,
for sure, especially with the right ones, because I know I have to acknowledge that not everyone is good with their siblings, but
true.
In my case, I just had a friend, standard.
So that's the thing, is I didn't grow up having a friend. That was my age mate remotely. So cultivating, building friendships and making friendship relationships, making them work well has always been an important part of my life. So I've always been willing to do what was necessary to make the relationship good. Because my friendships are, I think I said this to someone recently, it's for me, I'm not one of those, the way social media, everybody's getting out of their comfort zone. No, I like my comfort zone. I think the comfort zone is a very valuable
thought I was crazy because
space.
I went camping.
That's not comfortable. So I like my comfort zone, but I like to make my comfort zone good. Yeah, because when people use the term comfort zone, they think of it as a toxic place that traps you. No, for me, my comfort zone is a flourishing place from which I can go and be better.
Oh, that's good.
It does have to be a flourishing place. That's what my friendships are.
Because last week,
I devote myself to making it
I don't know how
place.
many weeks ago it'll be for people when they're listening to this. But one of the conversations I had with Marika, who we both know, who's super cool, shout out to Marika, but was about this idea of embracing discomfort. Because the way I would word it, now that you're talking, I'm we're probably saying the same thing, but the way I word it is for people to embrace discomfort. But you're saying that you can have a comfort zone that's not designed to kill you, essentially. Comfort to you should not mean... comfort should not necessarily mean deadness.
Yes, it shouldn't mean
no
wallowing
growth
without any form of...
So discomfort can be part of comfort? Is that what you're saying? Because there are things I feel that are empirically uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is that in your comfort zone?
I would say discomfort makes comfort better.
Oh.
So the momentary discomfort for the greater comfort.
I see.
Because Oftentimes, this type of discomfort we're talking about is momentary and it's fleeting.
Exactly, like it doesn't last.
It doesn't last that long.
Right.
So, and even
kind of like working out. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's enjoyable. So some people can't.
In the long run. Like, I don't know about this. I don't relate. No, working out analogy, for me, but we'll let it live.
Like for me, I like working out. Please, I have to mention, do not be confused for y'all workout buffs who happen to be my friends. When I say I like working out in my like capacity.
At your level.
Right. So please do not invite me for ridiculous workouts. But like, no, all jokes aside, I like to work out. It's hard. Sometimes I'm very tired. Mm-hmm. But like the other day I was doing like the grass grind and I was so happy, sweating. Like I enjoy it. It's not comfortable, but I enjoy it. So I think that might be what you're hinting to in terms of doing something you know is making you better. It's not like it's easy or it's like, oh, this is just relaxing or chill. Like sometimes it's requiring effort. It's requiring you to step out of some arbitrary comfort zone, like the way we normally say it. Mm-hmm. But it's comfort for you because you thrive in that.
Yeah, because for me, it's like the relationship is going to get infinitely better after we cross this threshold. Right. Because once we negotiate this boundary difficulty, we're going to... I say this thing about conflict specifically, and I've had this experience where having people who are very close to me who find it difficult to be in conflict with me. Right? Yeah. So people who are very close to me but don't want to tell me when I made them uncomfortable. And what I've thought about a lot and that I now say is that if you're in a relationship with me, of which relationship I'm using the word broadly, friendship,
just any kind of
kind of place where we're exchanging life together, or we're living life together. Yeah. If you're in relationship with me, I will tell you when you make me uncomfortable. Right. And I see that as me giving you and us the opportunity to be better in this relationship. Yeah. If you don't tell me where I make you uncomfortable, you're depriving me of the opportunity to be a better person with you on your life journey. Yeah. And that's not fair to me. I don't like that. I want to know how to do life with you better. I always want to know that. Yeah. One of my goals in life is to love well. So I always want to know, how can I walk with you in a way that benefits you better? How can you walk with me in a way that benefits me better? Right. So I feel like those conversations and those like negotiations that can be uncomfortable are all about making us do life together better. And there's nothing more important to me than that. Right. So I would do what it takes to get there. And I would love people to do that with me too. Right. So I always invite the conversation. Like I can be quite sensitive sometimes to like those like something is off. Mm-hmm. And then I struggle when I ask people, oh, what's going on? And it's like nothing. Like the likelihood of that is very, very slim.
Any of my guy friends who want to talk about boundaries, I would totally embrace that conversation. Because I'm not one for stereotypes. Yeah. But a lot of guys that I know,
they don't, the language of emotion.
like what's wrong with y'all?
Read Brené Brown. This is my advice to y'all.
Seriously, like now that you're saying that, I'm just like...
Oh, the ones who don't like reading, watch Brené Brown.
The ones who don't like reading. She just threw your shade.
People who don't like to read. Watch Brené Brown on HBO. There'll be a show. If you have
HBO, apparently.
No, go get HBO. Since we're throwing shade.
If you got some HBO.
Because the thing is, like, your relationships will be way better.
Yeah, because...
Like, think of it as, like, you're giving this person in your life the opportunity to be better to you. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what relationships are.
And no, I didn't mean to throw shade at guys in general. But the thing is, when you were talking, it just really occurred to me that a lot of the times when it's a problem, when I ask, what's going on? And someone says nothing. Mm-hmm. It's almost always usually like, oh, that's bad grammar. It's almost always with the guy. Mm-hmm. Because they're just like, it's okay. Yeah. Just a little busy. Yeah. And I'm like, but I'm observing a change in dynamic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that explanation is not satisfactory. But this is where boundaries then come in for me. Like, there are certain people I feel like, I don't have enough closeness to further dig deeper. Because there are some people I'm very comfortable and vulnerable enough to be like,
Something
no,
else.
like I'm like, come on, because I feel safe enough around them for them not to be like, cause I think it's, I don't want to use the word weak, but I think it's just like lack of emotional, like you don't have enough vocabulary when you just sum that up in terms of like, oh, she's nagging. Like people being curious is not necessarily nagging. Like that's not the definition. If you're avoiding, and I had this conversation with one of my really good friends recently. I was like, when I ask a question about why I'm noticing a change or something in our relationship, this person, my friend is a guy, and we had this issue, and because I value our friendship a lot, I valued it enough to be like,
to put
myself out there and be like, I don't like when I'm not being able to communicate with you in this way. It's really hurting my feelings. And myself and this person have known each other for a very long time. So I'm a little slower to arriving at that safe spot. But anyway, my point is with this, me and this friend of mine, we've like, right there, I trust him, and I'm like, nah, he won't be like, he won't say I'm nagging, because I really hate that. It's not even that it hurts my feelings. I'm just like, really, it just disappoints me really when people sum out my curiosity with them. Like, that's all you think this is? You think I have to? Anyway, I'm babbling now. But the thing was, I mentioned to him, which is what I want to talk about here, that whenever I ask those questions, I'm not expecting a paragraph of like how you're feeling. If you do not want to talk about that, you can also communicate that.
Yes.
Like that's also a boundary that will be respected.
Yes.
But I need to know, especially for friends, right? Like if someone doesn't, if I don't feel like talking about something and you say, hey, and there've been times like you'd be like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm just a little not great right now, but I'll talk about it later, or something along those lines, where I essentially pass the message of, I'm going through some stuff right now. I don't really have words for them.
You're seeing me, but I'm not there yet to talk about it.
Yeah, and like we'll chat about it at some point. And there's so many ways to, and I think it's respectful to the other person to be like, thank you for seeing that that's not good now. I'm not comfortable yet, like talking about why I'm not good now. But I respect you enough to appreciate that you saw that, instead of like invalidating my observation of saying it's nothing.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, because when you say it's nothing, I feel like it's invalidating. Yeah. And how this ties into boundaries, like I wanted to tie that because I was thinking how, for me, I could be thinking, should I even ask this person, because this whole thing might happen. I think what you've said is, and I'll think about this later, and one of the reasons I created this podcast, I think I mentioned this at some episode, I listen to these podcasts after the fact because I like thinking about them, because they inform, like they help me inform how I choose to move forward. So something that you've mentioned that I feel like I'll think more about, but might be worth incorporating, is for me to stop making assumptions about other people's boundaries.
Very important.
Because it's not helpful for me to infuse my own boundary, like my concept of boundaries to project rather, not infuse.
Project, yeah.
Like, it's not fair to them if I'm saying, because I'm usually uncomfortable with this, then they will be. And it's a slippery slope for me, because there's the whole like love your neighbor as yourself. I think there's stuff within reason that you can assume people don't like. Like people don't like to be spat on. You know? Yes. Like you can't just be like, well,
I was gonna say.
Like, please don't.
Okay.
This girl having you on my podcast.
Sorry.
You're stressing me out.
Sure,
I'm not stressed. I'm just kidding. This like apologies. She girl. Okay. Apologies. If you say something, I'm innocent.
Me too. Very innocent.
I'm so innocent. I don't know nothing. I'm like Jon Snow. I don't be knowing nothing. But you, on the other hand,
no, I'm very unaware.
Because this tangent, now I'm remembering the day we played that. Anyway, I'm going to go on another story.
That gets worse. Okay. If we go there, then it goes that.
I say one thing and she makes it something else.
There is exception.
Anyway, my point is, if like under normal circumstances, there are things we can make safe assumptions for the most part that people don't like. People don't like being treated poorly.
Yeah. Correct.
Right?
Actually, but correct.
I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying. I promise y'all I'm trying.
Let it go.
Let it go. I'm trying. Anyway, so
But yes, the point of not projecting boundaries is correct.
Help me finish this because I'm done.
Okay, so I think the thing is, like, I think about it very much in terms of quality of relationship.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, like, if you're able to avoid projecting boundaries and let somebody invite you into their space in a way that they want to, like, it improves the quality of, like, for you now, you've learned that this person is actually comfortable with experiencing this with me, or with telling me about this part of themselves. And then that can help your relationship grow to the place where you are comfortable doing that back.
Right.
Like, because as we said, the boundaries are range.
So that's the thing.
Shifts.
Okay, that's the thing I wanted to mention. And this is another thing I know, but it's like another burden I take on myself, because to be fair, 99% of my 98, let me just be safe, percent of my friends took the initiative to be my friend.
Or somebody else hooked you guys up.
Yeah, but like it was effort on their part.
Right.
I'm trying to remember if this was same for you, or I don't remember.
No, I think we're because someone introduced us to
Someone introduced us and we kind of like hit it off and it was fine.
Yeah.
But most of my friends, and I'm sorry y'all, like it makes me feel guilty that sometimes I feel like a lot of my friends have to do the work to get into my space.
Well, that is not true. You have to talk about how you don't really be many people.
That's my point. That's my point. I don't, and it makes me feel bad. Because then I feel like it's an expectation. Like, what about another person who's exactly like me, who needs someone to do the work to let them in? Do you know what I mean? So I feel like I'm always meeting, or I always have to be around, or mostly have to be around people who have to take the initiative to be like, I want to know Kinah well enough.
Not to quote Bible at you, but I do think all things be working together for good.
True. Yeah. And I should just accept grace.
I think you should accept grace. Yes.
Yeah, and okay, so I'm just going to pause now and really thank
the Lord.
Thank you, Jesus. And thank you to all my friends. Because no, I like, if there's something I cannot deny is how blessed I am in that regard. People really fight
and try.
Fight very hard to keep me in their lives, and it really, like, I'm just like, why?
Yeah, because that's what that kind of.
And I need that. It's not that I'm trying to be like I really can't find the English for this. I'm not trying to do yanga. What's the...
Yes.
Like, I'm
that's
not trying
the only
to...
word.
No, but I need to explain it.
Because proud is incorrect.
Yeah, it's not pride. It's like, I'm not trying to be like...
Coy.
Yeah, is it coy?
No. Yanga is really the only word.
Bro, like, some words in pidgin just hit different than...
I don't know how to interpret yanga.
Yeah. I wanted to say to do guy, but it's also pidgin.
That's even worse. Because guy is an English word, which would then become...
Yeah. Never mind.
Yanga is at least totally not
what's the word? Like, I'm not just trying to be, like, all fancy about it.
You're not trying to be avoidant. You're not trying to be restrained. You're not trying to keep to yourself.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's just, like... relationships generally are very scary for me. So most of the times that...
No.
Oh my God.
I know this very well. We're all aware.
Why are you doing this?
This is not a surprise. I know who you are. This does not come as a shock.
I cannot deal with this person. Anyway, my point... this girl.
They say stating your problem is halfway to solving it. So we do hope that this will
on the internet. Well, since Glory has decided to wash my dirty linen, relationships scared the crap out of me.
Oh, yes.
Hi, my name is Kinah, and relationships scare the crap out of me.
Yes.
But anyway, moving on from that, like, it's always I'm usually very humbled when people make that effort, which is something I need because it can be very crippling for me.
Yes.
So people have to, like, I remember in college, shout out to my college friends, like, they dragged me out. Like, I would say no, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I have a very similar
exactly thing. Yeah. Like, it would be like, nah, come on. Or they would come me, like, it's just like, we're going to get you to do something. Yeah. And they were also very good at sensing, because that can sound disrespectful to boundaries for some people. And it's not about that, because there's this whole other conversation about consent where people are like, if someone says no, and I don't mean consent in terms of sex, I just mean consent in terms of, like, if someone says do not cross this boundary, or say says, I don't want to do this, and you're like, nah, but you really...
Encouragement is still there.
Yeah, so it's very tricky, you know, where so it's like, let's go to dinner. No, and you like your friends will prod you and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing in my case because my friends also, excuse me, I feel like they're pretty good about knowing if I really can't go, like I'm unable emotionally for some reason to go, and they understand that relative to like I'm just feeling really lazy and I need more of a nudge to go. And sometimes I do that with you, like when you say you don't want to do something, I'm like, but all of these things that sometimes I'll be like, okay, because like, and I don't think it's always right, but it's just like in your mind making a calculated decision of like, does this person need more convincing, or should I just back off?
Right? That's
exactly, and it's like trial and error. So anyway, all of that long-windedness was just to say thank you to everyone who has not given up on me, and I really appreciate caring for me, but also low-key, you kind of don't have a choice because Jesus did that for me anyway.
Wow, okay.
Wild flex. I'm sorry. No, seriously, I'm thankful.
Cheers to washing our dirty linen. For real, that was such a great conversation. I every time I listen, because I do go back and listen to these conversations, I do learn from them as much as I hope anybody else listening should learn from them. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to just analyze our thoughts and why we think the way we do, because for me, it's very important for me to be somebody that doesn't hurt people. And so this conversation on boundaries has been quite helpful for me. And yeah, I'm just really thankful for Glory and for everybody who's in my life in whatever capacity, because it really makes this conversation real to me. I've been hearing some thoughts, and I'm so glad. Please keep sharing your thoughts on how boundaries look like for you, what boundaries look like for you, how you experience them, and if there's anything you agree or disagree with or have different thoughts on in terms of what we've shared. I'd love to hear them. I really just enjoy these conversations, and they're very life-giving to me. And so thank you to those who've already engaged me. Please, if you haven't and you have something to say, don't hesitate. You can follow the podcast on the different social media platforms as described in the link, and you can subscribe or rate the podcast as well. And yeah, I will chat to you on another episode of Contemplations, the podcast. And I'm again so grateful for your time, and I wish you have an amazing day or night, whatever time it is, wherever you are, and happy thoughts. Bye.